ang kalahating kilong basura na pinuproduce ng kada taon ay ma-reduce sa 65 grams na lamang. Ang kasabihang, one man's trash is another man's treasure. Dito po, one man's trash is another man's kuryente.
Hindi ko po pinagbabawal o hindi ko po kinokontra as is where is right now. Let us ensure that it will not create more problems than the problems that it is trying to solve.
We always say there are only two sure things in this world. There is death and taxes. Kung mamarapati niyo po, dadagdagan ko ito. Isa sa mga siguradong hindi maiwasang hinaharap natin araw-araw ay ang basura. While we try to reduce, recycle, and reuse waste, there is no doubt that first and foremost, we produce them. Mahigit kumulang na kalahating kilo ang average na basura ng bawat Pilipino araw-araw. 15 kilos kada buwan at 180 kilos kada taon. With a population of over 100 million, the Philippines produce more than 21 million metric tons of trash each year. The Environmental Management Bureau has forecasted that 92 million metric tons of trash would be produced in the country between 2022 and 2005. Currently, sanitary landfill is the primary long-term method of solid waste disposal under RA 9003 or the Ecological Solid Waste Management Act of 2000. But sanitary landfill requires vast parcels of land to accommodate our ever-growing waste production. Unfortunately, land is limited, and it is not the picture-perfect solution to our garbage problem. In fact, it is a major source of pollution. The most pressing environmental concern regarding landfill is the release of methane gas. As the organic mass in landfills decompose, methane gas is released. Methane absorbs the sun's heat approximately 80 times more than the carbon dioxide, making it one of the most potent greenhouse gases and a huge contributor to climate change. Also, the creation of landfill destroys natural habitats for wildlife. Hectares of land are taken from our wildlife just to accommodate our trash. Landfills also leak hazardous substances which contaminate nearby water sources. Mari po ito magdulot ng iba't ibang sakit sa atin. The pollutions from landfills pose a threat to the health of those who live and work nearby. A study in New York found that there is 12% increased risk of congenital malformations in children born to families living within a mile of hazardous landfill site because of the odor, smoke, noise, bugs, and water supply contamination. Given the inevitable garbage production coupled with the problems and dangers posed by landfills, we have to resort to an alternative. All things considered, waste to energy is a viable alternative to landfills, or better yet, it will supplement landfills as a way to manage our waste. Waste to energy plants convert non-recyclable solid waste materials into usable heat, electricity, or fuel through a variety of processes including combustion, gasification, pyrolyzation, and landfill gas recovery. These processes are what we call waste to energy, or as what I would like to call it, finding waste to energy. Properly executed, waste to energy plants could reduce 2,000 pounds of garbage to ash that weighs between 300 to 600 pounds and reducing the volume of waste by about 85%. Ang kalahating kilong basura na pinuproduce ng kada taon ay ma-reduce sa 65 grams na lamang. But of course, it is important to highlight that enhancing waste management requires a holistic approach encompassing essential aspects such as efficient waste segregation, recycling programs, public education, and regulatory enforcement. To achieve the best results, waste-to-energy initiatives should be implemented alongside other sustainable waste management practices. Hindi naman po natin kakalimutan at papalitan ang mga pulisiyang gumagana na. Holistic po at hindi one track ang pag-iisip. The good thing about waste to energy is that it does not only solve our garbage disposal problem, it also mitigates our concerns on energy. The frequent occurrence of rotational brownouts has become a harsh reality for our citizens. This disruption not only affects our productivity, but also hampers the delivery of essential services such as healthcare, education, and public safety. A few months ago, we experienced a red alert, and the DOE foresees around 15 yellow alerts may be issued this year. These alerts signify that our energy reserves are dangerously low, leaving us vulnerable to potential blackouts and disruptions. And so, we look to waste to energy to increase our energy supply. Ang kasabihang, one man's trash is another man's treasure. Dito po, one man's trash is another man's kuryente. May kuryente po sa basura. In many progressive countries including Japan, Sweden, South Korea, and Singapore, the waste-to-energy technology and system has long been relied upon. Hindi po groundbreaking itong konsepto na ito. We are simply applying the best practices already adopted and proven effective by other countries. We will make sure that we will not compromise our environment in exchange for this valuable electricity. In Sweden, the energy supply to the district heating network from waste-to-energy plants provides enough heat in the winter to warm 1.25 million apartments and 680,000 houses each year. In the Philippines, there are currently 13 waste-to-energy plants. Only 6 are operational. There is a growing clamor among LGUs such as Ormoc City, Quezon City, Clark Special Economic Zone, Cebu City, Davao City, and Naga City for waste-to-energy plants. And while we have the DNR administrative order on the guidelines governing waste-to-energy facilities for the integrated management of municipal solid waste, and the DOE Department Circular prescribing the policies and programs to promote and enhance the development of biomass waste-to-energy facilities, we must institutionalize the legal framework to waste-to-energy through a law. This will ensure predictability in the investment of the private sector and to provide support to the LGUs. This way, we ensure investors that waste-to-energy facilities will be supported, regulated, protected by the government. Now, let me lay down the salient points of the bill. Number one, the bill is technology neutral. This means it can accommodate not only the existing waste-to-energy technologies, but also future innovations in this field. This flexibility is crucial in a rapidly evolving technological landscape. The bill does not favor or exclude any specific waste-to-energy technology. The only requirement is that the waste-to-energy plants should not emit poisonous and toxic fumes into the environment. Two, it defines the roles of various government entities such as the National Solid Waste Management Commission, NSWMC, will ensure streamlined standards, criteria, and guidelines for facilities and identify and recommend potential clustering of LGUs for a common waste-to-energy facility. The DOE will issue permits to facilities and determine the standards, criteria, and requirements applicable to each kind of waste-to-energy facility. The DNR will ensure compliance with environmental requirements. The DOH will check compliance with health standards. And the LGUs will provide logistical and operational support for the processing of waste-to-energy feedstock and enter into a clustering arrangement for a common waste-to-energy facility. Three, the bill mandates the inclusion of waste-to-energy strategy in the Philippine Energy Plan and every national, provincial, and local waste management framework. The inclusion marks a significant shift towards a more sustainable and diversified energy portfolio. It recognizes the immense potential of waste as a renewable energy source and positions waste-to-energy as a fundamental pillar of our national energy strategy. Number four, the bill authorizes LGUs to enter into clustering arrangements and public-private partnerships, PPPs, for establishing waste-to-energy facilities and provide standards to determining processing fees of waste-to-energy facilities. It acknowledges that waste management is a shared responsibility between the public and private sectors. By engaging private entities to PPPs, we can tap into their expertise, technological advancements, and financial resources, accelerating the deployment of waste-to-energy facilities. Number 5, it ensures the waste-to-energy facilities are not harmful to public health and the environment. It requires health impact assessment together with environment impact assessment prior to construction and operations of waste-to-energy facilities to ensure the safety of each facility. These comprehensive assessments ensure that potential health risks associated with the facility's operations, emissions, and waste management processes are thoroughly evaluated. They will be prohibited from emitting poisonous and toxic fumes into the environment, which are defined as any emissions and fumes which are beyond internationally accepted standards by the World Health Organization Air Quality Guidelines and the Philippine Clean Air Act. This ensures that the air quality of communities surrounding the facilities are within safe and acceptable limits. It also mandates that the segregation, collection, transfer, storage, and transfer of waste-to-energy feedstocks and waste treatment processes of facilities are compliant with Ecological Solid Waste Management Act. Moreover, the bill explicitly prohibits the use of imported waste as a feedstocks for waste-to-energy facilities. This prohibition serves to safeguard our country from becoming a dumping ground for foreign waste. Finally, the bill provides specific penalties for failure to include and implement waste-to-energy strategy whenever feasible, for failure to perform the regulatory roles of the concerned government agencies, and for non-compliance with the standards and requirements under the law. Through strict enforcement of these penalties, we send a clear message that adherence to the law and its requirement is non-negotiable, fostering a culture of responsibility and accountability. Before closing, Mr. President, I would like to express my gratitude to my co-authors, Senators Sherwin Gatchalian, Francis Tolentino, and Bong Revilla, as well as Senate President Mig Zubiri, and to all our stakeholders, particularly the DOE, NSWMC, DNR, DOH, DILG, NEDA, PPP Center, for their invaluable contribution in crafting this bill. Mr. President, my dear colleagues, there is a way to address both our energy and garbage problems. Let us weigh the advantage of opening our doors to this technology that creates energy out of our waste. Hindi po ito basta-basta gagamitin ng ibang bansa without considering its risk and problems. It is high time we adjust our policies to welcome this technology and move forward towards a greener approach in waste management and energy generation. Thank you, Mr. President, and my dear colleagues.
Senator Legarda is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I acknowledge that many of our colleagues have sponsored the measure, including the leadership, the Senate President, as one of the authors of the measure. I also acknowledge the fact that since the time that we authored the Clean Air Act in 1999 and the Ecological Solid Waste Management of 2001, it's been almost more than 2 decades, and therefore I am open to revisiting the measures. Let it just be noted that this representation will interpolate on the measure because we are amending 2 landmark pieces of legislation, the Clean Air Act and the Ecological Solid Waste Management Law. I am for development in a sustainable way. I am, of course, for a clean, healthy, resilient, sustainable environment, but we must also ensure that the air that we breathe will not be filled with particles that are unseen, that will enter the body or the system or the lungs of young children, elders, and women, Mr. President. So I approached the author, Senator Tulfo, and informed him that I will interpolate on this. Let me just also put of note the sponsorship of Senator Tolentino, one of the authors. He mentioned RA 9003, the Ecological Solid Waste Management Law, January of 2001. I remember because that was my first law as a neophyte senator at 38 years old. Mr. President, the law is not unsuccessful. It is, tatagalogin ko po, ugali ng mga tao na hindi sumusunod sa batas. Bumisita po kayo sa aking tanggapan at makita po nyo, higit pa sa 5 ang garbage bins. Seryoso ko pong hinihiwalay ang basura sa nabubulok at hindi nabubulok. Sa aking bahay po, ganun din po. Sa aking maliit na farm, ganun din po. Napaka-stricto. Sa aking 89-year-old na nanay na minsan po ay matigas ang ulo. Sa aking 90-year-old na ama na minsan din po ay matigas ang ulo. Hanggang po sa mga kasambahay na bago po magpunta sa akin ay walang kaalaman sa batas na ito. Lahat po sila ngayon, pati ang mga staff ko ay disiplinado. We segregate our waste at source, recycle, and compost. Ibig sabihin po, ang mga natirang pagkain, ilagay po sa trash bin para po sa pagkain, ibabaon sa lupa para po maging organic fertilizer. Ako po ay nagtatanim ng gulay na aking kinakain. I grow my own food. Ito po ang nagbuhay sa aming pamilya at 2 dosenang pamilya sa 3 taon ng pandemya hanggang ngayon, pangregalo, pangkain, lahat po. At yung fertilizer na yan ay galing sa aming food waste. Pangalawa po, ang bote, lata o plastic ay hinding-hindi sinasama sa food waste. At syempre po, ito'y linalagay sa material recovery facility na kinokolekta po para po maresikulo dahil may pera sa basura. Gaya po ng ehemplo ng Barangay Holy Spirit sa Quezon City. Alam ni Mayor Joy Belmonte yan kung saan very proactive ang kapitan at mga kababaihan ng Holy Spirit na bago pa man maging batas ang RA 9003 ay 1997 ginagawa na po nila ang paghihiwalay ng basura kaya may pera sila sa binebentang bote, lata at plastic. At pangatlo po, syempre, yung hindi na kayang maresikulo at hindi kayang ibaon sa lupa ay tinatawag natin residual o latak. At kung tayo ay susunod sa batas na yan at 25% sa Pilipinas ay sumusunod sa batas na yan, ay ang diversion ay mas malaki hanggang 80% ng ating basura ay pwede ma-divert. Ibig sabihin po, 20% lang ang kokolektahin ng garbage collector. Yun lang po ang pupunta sa environmentally engineered sanitary landfill. Therefore, the issue of saan ilalagay, hindi po issue yan dahil konti lang ang pupunta po sa landfill. Having said that, if there is one barangay out of the more than 42,000 barangays of the country that can implement RA 9003, Ecological Solid Waste Management Act of 2001, efficiently and effectively, why can't the others do it? So, what I am saying is, kayang gawin. Hindi ko po pinagbabawal o hindi ko po kinokontra as is where is right now, WTE, because I still have to study it. I mentioned RA 9003 because it will be amended along with the Clean Air Act. And so I will reserve my judgment on the proposed measure of waste to energy facility. I know during a LEDAC, this was raised and this is one of the important or priority pieces of legislation that was mentioned in the LEDAC. I will cooperate, I will study, I will interpolate, I will learn, I will support, we will see. So, having said that, thank you very much to our authors. We welcome that you filed it so that it can be studied, it can be discussed. It may be a problem it may be a solution to the problem of solid waste in our country, but let us ensure that it will not create more problems than the problems that it is trying to solve. Thank you very much, Mr. President.